When a hug goes deep, when it is slow, grounded, and full-bodied, it is telling you something far more important than desire. It is telling you that emotional safety exists in that moment. Attraction can be loud, urgent, and impatient, but safety is quiet, steady, and reassuring. Attraction reaches for you because it wants something. Safety holds you because it feels something. And the difference between the two is everything. Many people mistake intensity for intimacy. They believe that strong desire, fast movement, and heightened emotion mean connection. But emotional safety does not rush, it settles. When someone feels safe with you, their body relaxes instead of performing. Their shoulders drop, their breath slows, their grip is firm but not possessive. They are not trying to impress you. They are allowing themselves to rest in your presence. That is not chemistry alone. That is trust. A deep hug is often the first place where emotional truth shows up unfiltered. Words are edited. Texts are delayed. Actions are sometimes strategic, but the body tells the truth immediately. When someone wraps their arms around you in a way that feels grounding, it means their nervous system recognizes you as a place of calm, not chaos. You are not triggering anxiety. You are regulating it. This matters because emotional safety is the foundation of real connection. Without it, attraction burns fast and fades quickly. With it, attraction deepens, softens, and becomes something sustainable. A man may feel desire for many people, but he feels safety with very few. And safety is what makes someone stay when things are no longer easy, exciting, or new. When you feel a deep hug, you are feeling his guard come down. You are feeling the moment where he does not need to be strong, impressive, or in control. You are feeling what happens when he can simply exist without being judged. That is rare. Many men move through life feeling evaluated, expected to perform, expected to lead, expected to hold it together. When they find someone who allows them to exhale, their body responds before their mind does. This is why emotional safety cannot be forced. You cannot demand it, negotiate it, or ask for it directly. It emerges when you are present, self-contained, and emotionally grounded. It shows up when you are not trying to be chosen, but are instead choosing yourself. When you are not seeking reassurance, but offering calm. When you are not chasing closeness, but allowing it. A deep hug also reflects how safe you feel within yourself. People who are emotionally centered tend to invite safety without effort. They listen without rushing. They respond without overreacting. They hold space instead of creating pressure. And others feel that. They lean into it literally. This kind of hug is not about clinging. It is about connection without fear. There is no desperation in it, no tension, no urgency, just presence. And presence is what creates attachment at the deepest level. Not need, not control, not manipulation. Presence. When someone feels emotionally safe with you, they begin to associate you with relief, with peace, with clarity. They feel better after being with you than before. And that feeling becomes addictive in the healthiest way. Not because it is dramatic, but because it is stabilizing. You should never chase someone into feeling safe. If you have to convince, overgive, or diminish yourself to create closeness, that is not safety, that is survival. Emotional safety is mutual. It is felt by both people. And when it is real, it feels natural, unforced, and grounding. So when you experience a deep hug that feels calm instead of electric, steady instead of rushed, and comforting instead of consuming, do not underestimate it. That is not the absence of passion. That is the presence of something far more rare. It is the moment where attraction grows roots. It is the moment where connection moves from the surface into something real. When someone hugs you and lingers just a little longer than necessary, when there is a pause before they let go, that pause is not accidental. It is a moment where emotion overrides logic. It is the space where the heart speaks before the mind interrupts. That hesitation is often a sign of attachment forming quietly, not dramatically, but deeply. Many people believe attachment shows up through constant texting, jealousy, or big declarations. In reality, real attachment shows up in restraint. It shows up when someone does not want to let go because letting go feels like losing a sense of grounding. That extra second in a hug is the body saying, "Oh, I am not ready to disconnect from this feeling yet." This kind of hug is not about possession. It is about presence. He is not holding you tighter to control you. He is holding you longer because your presence has become emotionally regulating. In that moment, his nervous system feels balanced. His thoughts slow down. The noise in his mind quiets. And when that happens, the body instinctively wants to stay there just a bit longer. This is important because attachment is not created by excitement alone. Excitement is fleeting, it spikes and crashes. Attachment is built through emotional consistency, through moments where someone feels more like themselves with you than without you. A lingering hug often means that being with you feels easier than being alone with their thoughts. When a man holds on longer, it often reflects a subtle fear of disconnection. Not fear in a weak sense, but awareness. Awareness that this connection matters. Awareness that moments like this are not guaranteed. Awareness that something meaningful exists here, even if he has not fully articulated it yet. This is why many men struggle to verbalize their feelings early on. Not because they feel nothing, but because what they feel is unfamiliar. Deep emotional attachment can feel disorienting if someone is not used to experiencing safety and connection at the same time. The body recognizes it before the language does. That pause in the hug is the body asking for time. Time to adjust, time to process, time to feel without explaining. It is not confusion, it is integration. And here is the key part you must understand. This kind of attachment is not created by chasing closeness. It is created by allowing space. When you are emotionally full on your own, when you are not gripping onto the moment, the other person feels free to lean in. The less you cling, the more they stay. If you try to hold on tighter when someone is already lingering, you break the spell. Because attachment thrives where there is choice, not pressure. The power of that lingering hug comes from the fact that it is voluntary. It is unspoken. It is natural. This is also why emotionally healthy attachment feels calm, not chaotic. There is no rush to define things, no urgency to label the moment, no anxiety about where it is going, just a quiet sense of, this feels right, and that feeling builds trust faster than any conversation ever could. When someone feels attached, they begin to imagine you in their future without consciously trying to. They start thinking in terms of where instead of me. Even if they do not say it out loud, they notice your absence more. They remember small details. They feel a pull back towards you after time apart. And often, it starts with moments like this, moments of lingering connection. Do not underestimate how powerful it is to be someone that another person does not want to disconnect from. Not because you demand attention, but because your presence feels nourishing. That is not about looks. That is not about performance. That is about emotional alignment. If you want to deepen this kind of attachment, the answer is not to escalate intensity. It is to maintain emotional steadiness. Be warm but not overwhelming. Be open but not overexposed. Be present but not consuming. Let the connection breathe. A lingering hug is a whisper, not a shout. It is the beginning of something that grows slowly but lasts longer. And when you recognize it for what it is, you stop chasing signs of love and start allowing love to reveal itself naturally, one quiet moment at a time. When a man hugs you and instinctively places his hand on your back, your shoulder, or gently pulls you closer rather than simply wrapping his arms around you, that gesture is not random. It is protection expressed without words. It is care revealed before commitment is spoken. In that moment, his body is communicating something his mouth may not yet know how to say. This kind of hug is driven by instinct. Long before logic enters the picture, the body reacts to what feels important. When someone places a steady hand on your back, it is the body saying, I am aware of you. I am present with you. I am attuned to your safety. This is not about dominance. It is about responsibility beginning to form. Men are often taught to suppress emotional language, but protection is a language they are allowed to speak. It is one of the earliest ways emotional investment shows up. When he positions himself slightly around you, when his posture shifts to include you, it signals that, in his mind, you are no longer separate from his space. You are being included. This matters because inclusion is the foundation of emotional bonding. Love does not begin with grand gestures. It begins with subtle shifts in how someone organizes their world. When he starts unconsciously factoring you into his physical awareness, he is doing the same emotionally. His nervous system is learning that closeness with you is safe, meaningful, and worth maintaining. A protective hug often appears when a man feels emotionally connected, but has not yet made sense of it consciously. He may not be ready to define the relationship. He may not be ready to say where this is going, but his body has already decided that you matter, and the body does not lie. This is why these gestures feel grounding. When someone holds you in this way, you feel calm rather than anxious. You feel settled rather than rushed. That is because true attachment regulates the nervous system. It does not activate fear. It reduces it. Protection is calming because it communicates stability. What is important for you as the person receiving this is how you respond internally. If you panic and start analyzing every move, you pull yourself out of the moment. If you try to secure more reassurance immediately, you interrupt the natural progression. The most powerful response is presence. Simply receiving the moment without trying to control it. Emotional connection deepens when it is allowed to unfold at its own pace. A man who feels emotionally safe with you will slowly increase his investment over time. But safety disappears when pressure enters. Protection turns into withdrawal when someone feels rushed to define feelings they are still discovering. This is why confidence is so magnetic. When you trust yourself enough to allow connection without clinging to outcomes, the other person feels free to lean in further. Freedom creates desire. Emotional steadiness creates attachment. A protective hug also reflects vulnerability. It may not look like vulnerability on the surface, but it is. Caring about someone opens the door to loss. It opens the door to responsibility. When a man begins to protect emotionally, he is also risking emotionally. And that takes courage. Many people miss this because they are searching for verbal confirmation. They want texts, labels, promises. But real emotional shifts often happen quietly first. They happen in moments where someone acts differently before they speak differently. If you pay attention to behavior, you will often see the truth long before you hear it. The key is not to test it. Do not pull away to provoke a reaction. Do not lean in to demand clarity. Let consistency be your guide. If protection shows up repeatedly, if care remains steady, if presence does not disappear when things slow down, that is where trust is built. You do not need to earn protection by being perfect. You do not need to perform to deserve care. When someone places that hand on your back, they are responding to who you are when you are grounded, authentic, and emotionally whole. Remember this. The deepest connections are not forced. They are felt. And when someone begins to hold you as if you belong in their space, the most powerful thing you can do is remain rooted in your own value. Allow the moment to exist and trust that what grows slowly often lasts the longest. When a man hugs you and his breathing changes, when you feel his chest rise more slowly or his body soften against yours, that shift is not physical comfort alone. It is emotional surrender. It is the moment where tension leaves him because he feels safe enough to let it go. And safety, real safety, is one of the deepest signs of emotional connection. Most people assume men relax when they are alone. In truth, many men are most relaxed when they feel understood without being examined. When a hug causes his body to release tension, it means he is not performing, protecting, or bracing himself. He is simply being. That is rare, and rarity creates attachment. This kind of hug happens when someone feels accepted as they are, not as they should be. It is not about impressing you. It is not about proving strength. It is about exhaling. And when someone exhales emotionally around you, it means you have become a place of rest in their mind. Men often carry silent pressure. Pressure to succeed. Pressure to appear confident. Pressure to have answers. When they feel they must always be on, they stay guarded. But when they feel no expectation to impress, their nervous system stands down. That is when emotional bonds form most powerfully. If you notice his shoulders drop, his jaw unclench, or his body lean into the hug rather than hold itself upright, that is a sign of trust developing. Trust does not start with words. It starts with the body learning that it does not need armor in your presence. This is why emotional attraction deepens fastest around calm, not chaos. Drama may create intensity, but calm creates connection. A person may chase intensity, but they attach to peace. And when your presence brings peace, you become unforgettable. What is critical here is understanding that you do not create this by fixing him, rescuing him, or absorbing his stress. You create it by being emotionally regulated yourself. When you are grounded, your nervous system communicates safety without effort. People feel it. They respond to it instinctively. If you try to be the solution to his problems, you become work. If you allow him to simply rest in your presence, you become relief. And relief is addictive in the healthiest way. It draws someone back again and again, not out of neediness, but out of comfort. This is also why emotionally mature love feels quiet. There is no constant questioning of where you stand. No emotional roller coaster. No need to provoke reactions. There is steadiness. And steadiness allows vulnerability to surface naturally. A man who feels safe relaxing around you will begin to open up in layers. Not all at once, not dramatically, but gradually he will share frustrations. He will admit uncertainty. He will talk about things he normally keeps private, not because you demanded it, but because his body already told him it was safe. The mistake many people make is trying to accelerate this process. They push for emotional conversations before safety is established. They ask for reassurance before consistency is proven, and that pressure causes the body to tense again. The armor comes back on. Let safety lead. Let comfort come first. Emotional depth follows naturally when it is not forced. You should also pay attention to how you feel in these moments. If you feel calm, present, and secure, that is a mutual regulation happening. That is two nervous systems syncing. That is not infatuation. That is connection. You do not need to analyze every hug. You do not need to count seconds. You need to notice patterns. Does he relax around you consistently? Does he seek your presence when life feels heavy? Does he leave interactions with you feeling lighter than when he arrived? Those are the signals that matter. And remember this, you do not deepen attachment by trying to be irreplaceable. You deepen it by being real, by allowing someone to feel human around you, by offering presence instead of pressure. When someone can breathe easier with you, you have already touched their heart, whether they know it yet or not. And what grows from safety grows slowly, but it grows strong. When a man hugs you and his hands stay still, grounded and intentional, when there is no fidgeting, no rushing, no wandering movement, that stillness is emotional respect. It is self-control paired with desire. It is care choosing patience over impulse, and that combination reveals far more depth than dramatic gestures ever could. Stillness in a hug often means he is fully present. His attention is not split. His mind is not elsewhere. He is not trying to impress or escalate. He is simply there with you. Presence like that is rare in a world full of distraction, and rarity creates emotional weight. Many people confuse intensity with depth. They believe passion must be loud, urgent, and overwhelming. But real emotional investment often shows up quietly. It shows up as restraint. When someone desires you but also respects you, their body naturally pauses. They slow down. They take in the moment instead of consuming it. This kind of hug says, without words, I value you enough to treat this moment carefully. It is not about suppressing attraction. It is about honoring it. He is aware of his feelings and chooses to handle them responsibly. That choice is a sign of emotional maturity. Men who are only chasing chemistry tend to rush physical closeness. Their touch is impatient. Their movements are driven by outcome. But when a man is emotionally invested, he becomes protective of the connection itself. He does not want to rush past the moment. He wants to stay inside it. This stillness also reflects internal conflict in the healthiest way. Desire pulls him forward. Respect holds him steady. That tension creates depth. It means he is thinking not just about what he wants now, but about what he wants this to become. If you have ever felt held in a way that made you feel seen rather than consumed, that is what is happening. You feel safe because his touch is intentional. You feel valued because he is not taking more than the moment offers. Your response to this kind of hug matters. If you try to escalate it to test his desire, you shift the dynamic. If you pull away emotionally because you mistake calm for lack of interest, you miss the signal. The most powerful response is confidence, receiving the moment without questioning it. Emotional attraction deepens when both people feel respected. Respect allows desire to grow without fear. Fear kills connection faster than anything else. When someone feels they must guard themselves, intimacy collapses. Stillness creates trust because it removes threat. This is also where many people sabotage promising connections. They mistake respectful pacing for uncertainty. They push for more intensity too soon. They ask for reassurance before trust has had time to settle. And the pressure turns stillness into distance. Understand this. Someone who can be patient with closeness is someone who can handle depth. Someone who can sit in a moment without needing to rush. It is someone capable of long-term connection. Patience is not hesitation. It is intention. This type of hug often appears when a man is emotionally sorting through what you mean to him. He may not have language for it yet, but his body is already choosing care. That is significant. Emotional clarity often follows emotional behavior, not the other way around. You do not need to ask him what it means. You do not need to define it. Watch consistency. Does his respect remain steady? Does his presence stay warm? Does his interest continue without pressure? Those patterns tell you everything. You also deserve to remember this. You are not responsible for managing his emotions. You are responsible for honoring your own. If a respectful hug feels good to you, trust that. If it feels confusing, listen to that too. Your body is part of the conversation. The deepest connections are built where desire and respect meet, not where one overrides the other. When someone can hold you with intention, restraint, and presence, they are showing you that they are capable of loving with care, not chaos. And love that grows from care lasts longer than love built on urgency. When a man releases a hug slowly, when he does not pull away abruptly, but eases back as if reluctant to break the moment, that gradual separation is emotional hesitation. It is the body acknowledging that connection has weight. It is the silent recognition that letting go is not entirely comfortable, even if it is necessary. A slow release is different from a lingering hold. Lingering says, I want to stay. A slow release says, I am aware that leaving this moment costs me something. And that awareness is one of the clearest signs of emotional attachment forming beneath the surface. Most people rush transitions. They move quickly from closeness to distance because lingering in between feels vulnerable. When someone slows down the ending of a hug, they are allowing vulnerability to exist. They are giving themselves permission to feel the loss of contact, even briefly. That takes emotional courage. This behavior often appears when someone is emotionally invested, but not yet ready to articulate it. Words feel risky. They create expectations. They require clarity. The body, however, can express attachment without committing to language. A slow release is the compromise between feeling deeply and staying protected. What this moment communicates is significance. You matter enough for the separation to be noticed, enough for the transition to be felt. Indifference exits quickly. Care lingers in the space between. This is why these moments feel charged, not dramatic but meaningful. You sense something unspoken, something unfinished. That sensation is not imagination. It is emotional energy that has not yet found expression. It is important to understand that attachment does not always look confident. Sometimes it looks cautious. Sometimes it looks like someone measuring how much of themselves to reveal. A slow release often means he is emotionally present but mentally careful. He feels something real and is deciding how to handle it. Your role in this moment is not to fill the silence, not to seek reassurance, not to interpret it aloud. The power is in allowing the moment to exist without commentary. Silence, when not filled with anxiety, becomes intimacy. If you rush to define the moment, you pull him out of his internal processing. If you withdraw emotionally because the moment felt intense, you shut down something that was opening naturally. The balance is presence without pressure. Attachment grows in environments where people feel free to feel without being interrogated. When someone senses they can experience emotion without being required to explain it immediately, they relax into it. And relaxation allows attachment to deepen. This is also why emotionally mature connection feels spacious. There is room to breathe, room to reflect, room to arrive at clarity naturally. Urgency creates fear. Space creates safety. A slow release can also signal that he is already imagining the absence that comes after. He feels the gap before it exists. That is attachment at work. When someone begins to register absence before it happens, their emotional investment has crossed a threshold. You may notice that after moments like this, communication becomes warmer, more attentive, more intentional. That is because the emotional bond has been reinforced physically. The body remembers what the mind has not yet labeled. Do not try to use this moment as leverage. Do not pull away to create longing. Do not lean in to secure certainty. Manipulation breaks trust. Authentic connection thrives on honesty and patience. You also deserve to stay connected to your own experience. Ask yourself how the moment felt to you. Did it feel grounding or unsettling? Did it feel mutual or one-sided? Your intuition matters. Emotional connection is not just about being wanted. It is about being aligned. The slow release teaches an important lesson. Love is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it shows up in pauses, hesitations, and unfinished movements. Those moments often carry more truth than grand statements ever could. When someone struggles to let go, it is because they are learning that connection with you has meaning. Meaning creates gravity. Gravity pulls people back. Trust what unfolds naturally. Allow space for feelings to mature. Let behavior lead before words follow. What grows with patience grows with depth, and depth